Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnana-shalakaya Chakshurumritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we're continuing our reading from Caitanya Caritamrta, Antya chapter number 6. Titled Lord Chaitanya Meets Raghunath Das Goswami. So we're just on text number 238. So yesterday we finished off with 8 instructions that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave Raghunath Das Goswami. So Raghunath Das Goswami, once he comes up to his mentor, Swarup Damodar Goswami, and he asks Swarup Damodar that, I have a question I want to ask Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Can you please put forward this question to Mahaprabhu? And Swarup Damodar, he goes and he puts forward Raghunath Das Goswami's question. And when Mahaprabhu is asked this question, Mahaprabhu, he mildly chastises Raghunath Das Goswami, saying that, why are you jumping over Swarup Damodar? Instead of asking him this question, why are you jumping over him and asking me this question? He's your mentor. He is more qualified than me. Whatever questions and doubts you have, he is more than qualified to answer. So next time, Mahaprabhu is trying to explain to Raghunath Das Goswami, you just go to Swarup Damodar Goswami. He is your mentor, he is your guide. I've put him under your care. You just go to him. So in this way, Mahaprabhu, he's teaching the etiquette to Raghunath Das Goswami. But anyway, Mahaprabhu says, since you have asked me this question, I'll answer the question. And Mahaprabhu, he then gives 8 instructions to Raghunath Das Goswami, which we discussed yesterday at the end. So the first thing Mahaprabhu tells him is, Gramya Karta na sunibe. One shouldn't hear any prajalpa or any mundane talks. But one should always be hearing about Krishna, Krishna's glories, Krishna's service, so on and so forth. So one shouldn't hear talks about mundane matters, so that's Gramya Katha or Prajalpa. So one shouldn't hear any Prajalpa, that's the first instruction Mahaprabhu gave. So this is in Antya chapter 6, text 236. Second instruction Mahaprabhu gives is Gramya Karta na Kahibe, which means don't speak Prajalpa. So the first one is don't hear Prajalpa, second one is don't speak Prajalpa. Third one, Bhala na Kahibe. Don't eat too opulently. Eat, just be happy and satisfied with simple prasad, and don't have so much big desires to eat very opulently, because that will make us become subservient to our tongue. And we're discussing how out of all the senses, the tongue is the most powerful and voracious, very difficult to control tongue. So that's why Mahaprabhu says, Bhala na khaibe. Don't eat too opulently, just be happy with a simple prasadam. So that's number 3. Fourth one, Mahaprabhu says, is Bhala na paribe. Don't dress too opulently. Because again, if we spend so much time and effort in dressing our bodies, we become more bodily conscious. Fifth one, don't expect any honor and respect for yourself. Sixth is give all respects to others. Number 7 is chanting Hare Krishna 24 hours a day, all the time, being engaged in Krishna Kirtan. And finally, number 8 is to Vraje Radha Krishna Seva Manasa Karibe. Number 8 is to worship Shri Radha Krishna in Vrindavan in one's mind, mentally. And we were discussing how these 8 different instructions that Mahaprabhu gave to Raghunath Das Goswami, they go progressively, which means we can't directly jump to the final instruction. We can't directly go to instruction number 8 and just say, okay, I'm just going to worship Radha Krishna in my mind in Vrindavan. I won't do any practical service, I'll just be in samadhi and just worship Radha Krishna. Now to get to number 8, we have to do the previous 7 instructions, which means we need to eat simply, give respect to others, expect none for ourselves, we need to chant 24 hours a day, so on and so forth. Only if we do the previous 7 steps can we be qualified to practice the 8th step. So that's where we're up to now. So now text 238. I have briefly given you my instructions. Now you will get all details about them from Swarup Damodar. So this is Mahaprabhu continuing to speak to Raghunath Das Goswami. One who thinks himself lower than grass, who is more tolerant than a tree, and who does not expect personal honor but is always prepared to give respect to others can very easily always chant the holy name of the Lord. Having heard this, Raghunath Das offered prayers at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the Lord out of great mercy embraced him. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again entrusted him to Swarup Damodar. Thus Raghunath Das rendered very confidential service with Swarup Damodar Goswami. At this time all the devotees from Bengal arrived, and as previously, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met with them with great feeling. So at this time, when Mahaprabhu was instructing Raghunath Das Goswami, around that time, all the devotees from Bengal, they arrive. So every year, it was the routine of the Bengali devotees that during the time of Jagannath Ratha Yatra, they would leave Bengal and they would travel all the way to Jagannath Puri to associate with Mahaprabhu, to attend all the festivities, so on and so forth. And how long would they stay in Jagannath Puri with Mahaprabhu? It's given for the entire Chaturmasya. For 4 months, all the Bengali devotees, they used to first come on pilgrimage to Jagannath Puri. When they would arrive in Jagannath Puri, they would spend 4 full months during the Chaturmas, or the rainy season, in Jagannath Puri. And they will attend all the festivals and take in the association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So first, they would attend the Gundicha Marjan, the cleansing of the Gundicha temple. They'll attend Snan Yatra, they'll attend the actual Ratha Yatra festival, and all the other festivals that follow after that during the Chaturmasya. Then they would return back to Bengal. So this would happen every year. So at this time, while Mahaprabhu is instructing Raghunath Das Goswami, shortly after that, the devotees from Bengal, they arrive for their yearly pilgrimage to Jagannath Puri. At this time, all the devotees from Bengal arrived, and as previously, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met them with great feeling. As he had previously done, he cleansed the Gundicha temple and held a picnic feast in the garden with the devotees. The Lord again danced with the devotees during the Ratha Yatra festival. Seeing this, Raghunath Das was struck with wonder. When Raghunath Das met all the devotees, Advaita Acharya showed him great mercy. He also met Sivananda Sen, who informed him, "Your father sent 10 men to take you away. He wrote me a letter asking me to send you back. But when those 10 men received no information about you, they returned home from Jhankara." When all the devotees from Bengal returned home, after staying at Jagannath Puri for 4 months, Raghunath Das's father heard about their arrival and therefore sent a man to Sivananda Sen. That man inquired from Sivananda Sen, "Did you see anyone in the renounced order at the residence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? That person is Raghunath Das, the son of Govardhan Majumadara. Did you meet him in Nilachal?" Sivananda Sen replied, "Yes, sir. Raghunath Das is with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and is a very famous man. Who does not know him?" So the Bengali devotees, they arrive in Jagannath Puri, and as usual, Sivananda Sen, he's there. He's the main devotee who arranges the whole parikrama from Bengal to Jagannath Puri. So he arranges all the accommodation, he arranges for all the devotees to go past the toll points, he arranges for the prasadam for all the devotees, because it's not just a day trip walking from Bengal to Jagannath Puri, but it takes many days to walk. So along the way, Sivananda Sen, he used to make all the arrangements. So after staying in Shri Radha Gopinath ki jai. After staying in Jagannath Puri for 4 full months, then all the Bengali devotees, they return back. They travel back to Bengal. Now when they arrive back in Bengal, immediately Raghunath Das's father goes to Sivananda Sen or sends one of his servants to Sivananda Sen and starts inquiring that, my son, he has disappeared many months ago. Definitely he must be in Jagannath Puri. He must have went there to serve Mahaprabhu. Did you see anyone in the renounced order, a new person in the renounced order, amongst Mahaprabhu's associates. And then Sivananda Sen reveals that yes, actually, I saw your son Raghunath Das, and he is there personally associating with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Sivananda Sen is telling Raghunath Das's father that Sivananda Sen replied, yes sir, Raghunath Das is with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and is a very famous man. Who does not know him? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has placed him under the charge of Swarup Damodar. Raghunath Das has become just like the life of all the Lord's devotees. He chants the Hare Krishna mantra all day and night. He never gives up the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not even for a moment. He is in the supreme renounced order of life. Indeed, he does not care about eating or dressing. Some or other he eats and maintains his life. So in this way, Sivananda Sen is glorifying the position of Sivananda's, the position of Raghunath Das Goswami to his father. And, we can also aspire that, we can also develop these same qualities. We can also be glorified like this or appreciated like this by Mahaprabhu's devotees. So one of the qualifications given here is that Raghunath Das Goswami, he was just like the life and soul of all the Lord's devotees. So he used to go out of his way and very humbly serve all the Vaishnavas. He used to conduct himself in such a way that all the devotees of Mahaprabhu, they all used to love him. And he was so dear to all the Vaishnavas that he was as if he was the life and soul of all the Vaishnavas. So that's something we should also try and become, or at least follow in those footsteps. We need to conduct ourselves in such a way that all the Vaishnavas in the community, they all love us, and they all feel very happy and blissful when they see us. They appreciate our association. So that we can achieve mainly by service. So when we go out of our way to serve other devotees, then that naturally will melt the other devotee's heart. And the other devotee will naturally feel obligated. Yeah, this devotee is going out of his way to serve me. And in this way we can win over the hearts of all the Vaishnavas. Not only that, we will collect blessings of all the Vaishnavas. And this is something we can never underestimate, the blessings of the Vaishnavas. We were saying previously, Raghunath Das Goswami, he personally got the dust of Lord Nityananda Prabhu's lotus feet. Lord Nityananda Prabhu had ordered him, please arrange a big festival where you feed all the Vaishnavas, chida dahi, yogurt mixed with chipped rice. And Raghunath Das Goswami, he held a massive festival and fed thousands of Vaishnavas, very nice nectarian prasadam. And Lord Nityananda Prabhu, he was so pleased with Raghunath Das's service that Lord Nityananda Prabhu, he personally took his lotus feet and put it straight on top of Raghunath Das Goswami's head. Imagine the Supreme Lord personally coming and putting his lotus feet on your head. So he already attained the perfection of life, The Supreme Lord has personally blessed him. But still Raghunath Das, he's humbly going out of his way to serve all the devotees, all the Vaishnavas. He's not thinking, okay, I've hit the jackpot, I've hit the top, I am one of the most closest associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. No, he's still feeling himself very insignificant. He's still feeling himself in need of the mercy and the blessings of all the Vaishnavas. So he used to always go out of his way to serve all the devotees, collect their blessings. And in this way he used to be very dear to all the Vaishnavas. So Ghanshyam Prabhu once he was saying that the most intelligent devotee is he who serves the other devotees. Because Krishna himself, he says in the Puranas that one who is my devotee is not my devotee, but one who is the devotee of my devotees. He is my real devotee. So if we want to please Krishna very quickly, if we want to capture Krishna's attention very quickly, then we have to please Krishna's devotees. So the most intelligent person is that person who conducts himself in such a way by which he is a source of pleasure for all the other Vaishnavas. So this should be our mood. We should conduct ourselves, do service in such a way that we can please all the other Vaishnavas. And if we can do that, then we're practicing, our bhakti is a success. So in this way, Raghunath, this is the one qualification given for Raghunath Das Goswami, that he was like the life and soul of all the Lord's devotees. Secondly is given, he used to chant the Hare Krishna mantra all day and night. 24 hours a day, he was just engaged in kirtan. He didn't waste a single moment. And he never gives up the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not even for a moment. As we know, the famous verse is there from CC, Katanchana smrite yasmin, duskaram sukram bhavet, vismrite viparyam shat, Sri Chaitanya namami tvam. This verse is explaining that anything that is difficult, by remembering Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, anything that is very difficult will become very easy. And by not remembering Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even the easiest thing will become very difficult. So in this way, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he glorifies the potency of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Just if we remember Mahaprabhu, then even the most difficult service will become very easy. So in our practice of bhakti, there's many things that we hear in the Shastras we should do as devotees. Theoretically, we understand we should do it, but practically speaking, to force ourselves to do it, it's very difficult. For example, giving respect to others, not expecting any appreciation and respect for oneself. This is something difficult to do. Generally when we do something nice, we expect someone to appreciate that service. We expect someone to say, Prabhu, you cooked very nice prasad today, or Prabhu, you distributed a lot of books today, or Prabhu, you sang very nice ecstatic kirtan. So generally whenever we do something nice, there is that expectation that we expect other devotees to give us some words of praise, give us some respect, give us some a little sweet words of glorification, and then we feel good at heart. Our false ego is nicely pampered and we feel a bit happy. But we hear Mahaprabhu is saying that actually a Vaishnava shouldn't act like this. A Vaishnava should have no expectation of any respect to come towards him. A Vaishnava should never expect glorification, respect, appreciation to come. But he should just humbly do his service. So theoretically we understand this. Trinad api sunichana. Theoretically we understand that we need to be as tolerant as a tree. Prabhupada explains, the cat and dog will come to the tree and pass stool and urine onto the tree. But the tree won't protest. The tree branch won't come around and hit the dog. What are you doing? Passing stool on my feet. And the woodcutter will come and start chopping the tree, with his axe. Will the tree stop the woodcutter? No. The tree will just slowly tolerate. So Mahaprabhu is explaining that we need to be that tolerant. We need to be as tolerant as a tree. And as humble as a blade of grass. So many people, they trample and step on the blade of grass, but the blade of grass never retaliates. It humbly goes down and then again comes back in. Okay, it's very flexible. So Mahaprabhu is saying we should be humble like that. Anyone comes, does anything bad to us, we don't take it so seriously. We just take the bullet and then again come back and continue on with our service. So again, theoretically we understand, okay, we have to be humble like grass. We have to be tolerant like a tree. We shouldn't expect any glorification, respect, and instead we should give all respect to others. But to actually practice this is very difficult, right? To apply it in our lives and to actually live the Bhagavatam or to live the instructions of Mahaprabhu is very hard. So how can we practice it then? If something is very hard, very difficult, how can we make it very easy? The solution Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is giving. He is saying, anything you find difficult in bhakti, the solution is, you just remember Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If you remember Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the most difficult thing will become very easy. So being tolerant like a tree, is it very difficult? Yes, it's super difficult. Practically impossible. It's impossible to be as tolerant as a tree or as humble as a blade of grass. But Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying, you just remember Mahaprabhu, the impossible will become possible. The most difficult thing will become very easy. So in our practice of bhakti like this, there's many things that we'll find difficult to do. Waking up early in the morning could be another thing which we find difficult. Or chanting our rounds attentively. We all know the importance of chanting japa, good quality japa. One time Prabhupada said that 90% of our spiritual advancement comes from our japa, comes from our 16 rounds of chanting Hare Krishna. 90%. So that's like a big chunk of our spiritual advancement. 90% of our spiritual advancement, Prabhupada once said, comes just simply from our chanting Hare Krishna and japa. So that's a big chunk. So we all understand this theoretically. Okay, chanting japa is very important. I should chant attentively. If it's inattentive chanting, it's offensive. And I won't make spiritual advancement. I can go on chanting for many years. Nothing will happen. But still, when it's time for morning japa, we fall asleep or we space out. We think of so many other things and we're unable to focus on chanting Hare Krishna. So that's another thing that we all find very difficult. So how can we chant nicely? Make the difficult thing very easy? Again, if you remember Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if we remember Mahaprabhu, even the most difficult thing becomes very easy. So this is what Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying. Katanchana smrite rasam duskaram sukram bhavat. And on the other hand, he is saying, Vismrite viprayam shat Sri Chaitanya namamitam. On the other hand, even the most easiest thing will become difficult if you don't remember the Supreme Lord. Just like there's the famous story of Hanuman and Arjuna. Right? Hanuman, one time Arjuna comes and inquires from Hanuman, why to cross to Lanka, you have to go through so much hardship of building a bridge full of stones. Why couldn't Lord Ramachandra, just with his arrows create a bridge? And you could have just walked over the bridge of arrows. Why did you have to go and collect all these stones and build a bridge? Then Hanuman replied that, arrow bridge wouldn't have done because, all of our monkey soldiers, there's a lot of weight, the bridge would have been broken. Then Arjuna immediately retaliates by saying, no, I myself will build a bridge now full of arrows and you can go walk over it. We'll see how the bridge will stand up. Maybe Lord Ramachandra couldn't have done it, but I can do it. I'll build a nice bridge full of arrows which can handle all the weight of all the monkeys. And then Hanuman says, okay, do it. And then Arjuna, he shoots his arrows and he makes a bridge full of arrows. And then Hanuman, he just takes one step and just puts his foot just gently on the bridge. Immediately the whole bridge of arrows just collapses. And then Arjuna, he's feeling so depressed and morose. And I think Arjuna, he made Kshatriyas, they make these vows. So Arjuna made this vow that if I can't do it, then, I will commit suicide, something like that. So he couldn't do it. Hanuman, he immediately broke the bridge of arrows just in a second like that. Then Krishna, he comes to the rescue of Arjuna. And Krishna tells that you do this again, do the same thing again, and now let's see what happens. So this time again, for a second time, Arjuna, he makes a bridge full of arrows. Then again, Hanuman comes, and he gently touches the bridge of arrows, but this time nothing happens. The bridge is just like that. Then Hanuman starts walking on the bridge, nothing happens. Then Hanuman starts jumping up and down, stomping on the bridge, nothing happens. And no matter how hard Hanuman is trying to break the bridge is not collapsing. So how come the first time Hanuman, he just gently touched the bridge and it broke, and the second time, no matter how hard he's trying, the bridge isn't breaking? The reason given is, Krishna himself gives, that the first time, Arjuna, you were just relying on your own strength. You weren't thinking about me. You were just thinking, you thought based on your own ability, you can build a nice bridge. And at that time, you weren't thinking about me. But on the other hand, my dear devotee Hanuman, while he was approaching your bridge, he was chanting my holy name. He was chanting the name of Lord Ram. And he was meditating on his Lord Ramachandra and his holy name. So because he was remembering me and you weren't remembering me, he was successful. The second time, you took shelter of me. Because first time you failed, so the second time, you didn't want to fail again. So the second time, you took shelter of me and you were constantly thinking and praying to me while building your bridge of arrows. So this time, you were conscious of me. But Hanuman on the other side, he got a bit overconfident, and that's why he couldn't break the bridge. So from this, we again see the same thing. One who remembers the Lord, he will always be successful. Whatever ability, potency we have, it's all simply coming from Krishna. And this comes by us remembering the Lord. So in this instance, we see Hanuman Arjuna. First instance, Hanuman was remembering the Lord, he was successful. Second instance, Arjuna, his focus or his meditation on the Lord was more intense, so he was more successful. So the same thing Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying, that if we remember the Lord, if we're conscious of the Lord, then the most difficult thing will become very easy. On the other hand, if you don't remember the Lord, even the most easiest thing will become very difficult. So this is a very nice verse we can always remember. So that's why it's given here that Raghunath Das Goswami, he used to chant Hare Krishna 24 hours a day, and he never gives up the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not even for a moment. He is in the supreme order of renounced life. Indeed, he does not care about eating or dressing. Some or other he eats and maintains his life. After 10 dandas or 4 hours of the night have passed, and Raghunath Das has seen the performance of Pushpanjali, he stands at the Sumadwara gate to beg some alms to eat. He eats if someone gives him something to eat. Sometimes he fasts, and sometimes he chews fried grains. After hearing this, the messenger returned to Govardhan, Majumadara, and informed him all about Raghunath Das. Hearing the description of Raghunath Das's behavior in the renounced order, his father and mother were very unhappy. Therefore, they decided to send Raghunath some men with goods for his comfort. Raghunath Das's father immediately sent 400 coins, 2 servants and 1 brahmana to Sivananda Sen. So when Raghunath Das's father hears about, what austerities his son is doing in Jagannath Puri, immediately, he starts feeling so much anxiety and distress. My son, who used to be like a prince living in a nice royal mansion, he has given up all this and is living just like a mendicant in Jagannath Puri. He's just fasting, some days he doesn't get food to eat, he's just eating simple food just by begging, just like a beggar. So naturally his father gets worried, and out of affection for Raghunath Das's father immediately sends 400 gold coins to be given to his son in Jagannath Puri, along with 2 servants and 1 brahmana to be engaged in Raghunath Das's service. So we see Srila Prabhupada also showing such detachment when Prabhupada was traveling from India to America on the Jaladuta. So I think it took a long time, like a few weeks, for the journey from India to America. Generally, if we go on some journey like this on a ship for a few weeks, first thing is we'll pack a lot of nice prasad or snacks, to take on the ship. And what did Prabhupada pack? All Prabhupada carried with him on the ship was just one big suitcase full of Bhagavatams. Along with that, he had his CC, which he used for his personal reading. And the third thing Prabhupada had was just some cereal. That's the only food that Prabhupada was taking on the ship. He just packed some dry cereal, which will last a long time. And from this, again, we see just as Raghunath Das, he's showing his detachment, just going out begging and just happily accepting whatever alms people give him. Srila Prabhupada also, he was very detached. When he was traveling from India to America, he was just subsisting just based on cereal and just very simple foodstuffs. And all Prabhupada carried was just his own CC, which he used to read. Prabhupada, in his diary, he writes that in that difficult journey from India to America, through which he suffered 2 heart attacks. During this difficult journey, the thing that used to give him solace, thing that used to give him hope was his Caitanya Caritamrta. Prabhupada used to say that while he was traveling on the ship, he used to read CC and get great strength and bliss by reading Caitanya Caritamrta. So Prabhupada himself used to take so much inspiration and bliss by reading CC. And this was Prabhupada's mood as he was going to America. Prabhupada also said that his spiritual master, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, he used to say that during his leisure time, he used to always read Sri Caitanya Caritamrta. For us, if someone asks us, what is your hobby? What do you do during your leisure time? We'll say, okay, during my spare time or hobby, I go out, for a nice drive, or I go to the beach, or go out to some nice scenic park, or I go play cricket with my friends, or I watch TV, or I watch some nice videos on YouTube. This is what we do during our leisure time. But Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, he used to say that whenever he has any free time, during his leisure time, his favorite hobby was to simply open up Caitanya Caritamrta and read. So this is the topmost literature, Prabhupada used to say. There is no greater literature than Sri Caitanya Caritamrta. So in this way, Raghunath Das Goswami's father is sending 400 coins, gold coins, 2 servants and 1 brahmana to Jagannath Puri to serve his son over there. Sivananda Sen informed him, "You cannot go to Jagannath Puri directly. When I go there, you may accompany me. Now go home. When all of us go, I shall take all of you with me." Describing this incident, the great poet, Sri Kavi Karnapur, has written extensively about the glorious activities of Raghunath Das in his Sri Caitanya Candrodaya Nataka. Sri Raghunath Das is a disciple of Yadu Nandana Acharya, who is very gentle and extremely dear to Vasudev Dutt, a resident of Kanchanapalli. Because of Raghunath Das's transcendental qualities, he is always more dear than life for all of us devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Since he has been favored by the abundant mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is always pleasing, vividly providing a superior example for the renounced order. This very dear follower of Swarup Damodar is the ocean of renunciation. So it's mentioned here that Raghunath Das Goswami, he was like an ocean of renunciation. So in general, we were discussing that all of Mahaprabhu's associates, they all displayed this one quality of vairagya or renunciation. And Mahaprabhu, whenever he used to see this quality of renunciation in his devotees, he used to feel great bliss and pleasure. But out of all the devotees of Mahaprabhu, it is specifically highlighted that Raghunath Das Goswami, he was specifically like the personification of renunciation, personification of, austerity. His austerities, his renunciation was like right there at the top. No one could compete with him. That's why it's given here, that Raghunath Das Goswami, he was like an ocean of renunciation. Who among the residents of Nilachal, Jagannath Puri, does not know him very well? So he was famous throughout Jagannath Puri. Everyone in Jagannath Puri knew him. That he is one of the closest associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is the personal servant of Mahaprabhu's personal secretary, Swarup Damodar Goswami, and his renunciation and his wonderful Vaishnava characteristics were famous throughout Jagannath Puri. How renounced Raghunath Das Goswami was will come later on in this chapter. Text 264. Because he is very pleasing to all the devotees, Raghunath Das Goswami easily became like the fertile earth of good fortune, in which it was suitable for the seed of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be sown. At the same time that the seed was sown, it grew into a matchless tree of the love of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and produced fruit. In these verses, the great poet Kavi Karnapur gives the same information that Sivananda Sain conveyed to the messenger from Raghunath Das's father. The next year, when Sivananda Sain was going to Jagannath Puri, as usual, the servants and the Brahmana, who was a cook, went with him. The servants and Brahmana brought 400 coins to Jagannath Puri, and there they met Raghunath Das. Raghunath Das did not accept the money, and men sent by his father. Therefore the Brahmana and one of the servants stayed there with the money. At that time Raghunath Das began inviting Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his house with great attention for 2 days every month. The cost for these 2 occasions was 640 kodis. Therefore he would take that much from the servant and the Brahmana. So remember, his father had sent 400 gold coins, 2 servants and 1 Brahmana to go and serve his son Raghunath Das. So when they finally arrive in Jagannath Puri and they come present themselves to Raghunath Das that your father has sent us to serve you, and your father has also given us 400 gold coins to be offered to you. Raghunath Das, as a mendicant, renunciate, he just politely refuses. That, I'm a renunciate, I don't need all these gold coins, I am happy and satisfied as they are. I don't need all this. So he politely declines. But it's given that at this time, Raghunath Das, he used to personally invite Mahaprabhu to his house twice every month for prasad. So it's given that Raghunath Das Goswami, along with being the emblem or personification of renunciation, he was also a very good cook. He used to cook very nice, tasty prasad. So 2 days every month, twice every month, Raghunath Das used to invite Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his house. Now, for the prasadam to be served to Mahaprabhu during these 2 days of the month, the cost was 640 kodis. So to pay for that cost of the prasadam, he used to take from that money which his father had sent to him. So he used to just take that much only for the service of the Lord. So he didn't spend any of the amount of money that his father had sent, the 400 gold coins, nothing for himself, but he used to take a little bit every month for the worship of the Supreme Lord, for the serving of the Supreme Lord. Text 271. Raghunath Das continued to invite Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this way for 2 years. But at the end of the second year, he stopped. So for 2 full years, Raghunath Das, he used to do like this. For 2 days every month, Raghunath Das used to invite Mahaprabhu to his house and would serve him prasad. And the cost of the prasadam, he would cover by the money which his parents had sent for him. So like this, Raghunath Das did for 2 full years. But then suddenly, after 2 years, Raghunath Das, he stops inviting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Why he stops, we'll hear about now. When Raghunath Das neglected to invite Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for 2 consecutive months, the Lord, the son of Sachi, questioned Swarup Damodar. So for 2 months, for 2 full years, twice every month, Mahaprabhu is being invited. Mahaprabhu is honoring very nice prasad at Raghunath Das's house. But now suddenly, he stopped inviting him. 1 month goes by, no invitation comes. 2nd month goes by, and still no invitation has come from Raghunath Das Goswami. So then immediately Mahaprabhu, he gets curious and he starts asking Swarup Damodar, what has happened to our dear Raghunath Das? Twice every month he usually invites me to his house for prasad, but 2 full months have gone by, he hasn't invited me. Is everything all right? What has happened to Raghunath Das? Why isn't he inviting me? The Lord asked, why has Raghunath Das stopped inviting me? Swarup Damodar replied, he must have reconsidered something in his mind. I invite Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by accepting goods from materialistic people. I know that the Lord's mind is not satisfied by this. My consciousness is impure because I accept all these goods from people who are interested only in pounds, shillings, and pence. Therefore, by this kind of invitation, I get only some material reputation. At my request, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepts the invitations because he knows that a foolish person like me would be unhappy if he did not accept them. Considering all these points, Swarup Damodar concluded, he has stopped inviting you. Hearing this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu smiled and spoke as follows. When one eats food offered by a materialistic man, one's mind becomes contaminated. And when the mind is contaminated, one is unable to think of Krishna properly. So what is the reason Swarup Damodar gives? Why Raghunath Das stops inviting Mahaprabhu? Swarup Damodar, being the mentor of Raghunath Das Goswami, he could understand that Raghunath Das is thinking in his mind that all this time, the way I've been feeding Mahaprabhu is by taking the money which my parents have sent for me. But my parents, this money they've given me is just given by materialistic people. And by accepting this and using it in Lord's service, I don't find it proper. And when Mahaprabhu hears this, Mahaprabhu smiles and approves of this, that yes, what Raghunath was thinking in his mind is proper. And Mahaprabhu is saying that when one eats food offered by a materialistic man, one's mind becomes contaminated. And when the mind is contaminated, one is unable to think of Krishna properly. When one accepts an invitation from a person contaminated by the material mode of passion, the person who offers the food and the person who accepts it are both mentally contaminated. So Mahaprabhu is explaining the intricacies of material contamination. When we come across materialists, Mahaprabhu is saying when we take any foodstuffs from a materialistic person, then along with that foodstuffs, we're also getting the consciousness of that particular person whom we're taking the food. That's why he said we should only take prasadam, cooked by the devotees of the Lord. Because when someone cooks food, the consciousness of the cook goes into the food. Not only that, my Guru Maharaj explains, not only does the consciousness of the cook go into the food, but also the person who is serving the food. His consciousness also goes into the food. So both the cook's consciousness goes into the food, and secondly, the persons out there who are serving the food or the prasadam, their consciousness also goes into the food. And that's why Mahaprabhu is warning, never accept anything from materialists or karmis. Because when you accept these gifts, along with those gifts, the consciousness of these karmis or materialists will go into that. And when you accept that, that will contaminate your consciousness. And when your mind is contaminated, Mahaprabhu is explaining, you won't be able to think of Krishna properly. When one eats food offered by a materialistic man, one's mind becomes contaminated. And when the mind is contaminated, one is unable to think of Krishna properly. When one accepts an invitation from a person contaminated by the material mode of passion, the person who offers the food and the person who accepts it are both mentally contaminated. Therefore, Mahaprabhu is approving that yes, what Raghunath Das has done is proper. It's not proper for him to accept so much money from his parents and engage this like this, because by accepting all this money, he is also subtly getting materially contaminated. So better he stop using that, and Mahaprabhu in this way he approves of Raghunath Das's actions. So we ourselves also should be a bit careful when we're associating with non-devotees outside. Prabhupada used to say that when we associate with non-devotees, we should influence them, not that we get influenced by them. Which means we should influence them means we should conduct ourselves in such a way that they'll get inspired to take shelter of Krishna. Not getting influenced by them means it's not that we get their sangha and then we go downwards in our spiritual consciousness. So to be able to do that, we have to be a bit spiritually strong. Unless we're spiritually strong, we won't be able to positively influence non-devotees. Instead, if we're spiritually weak, instead of us helping them grow in their spiritual life, instead of us influencing them, the opposite will happen. We will get negatively influenced by them. Therefore, Mahaprabhu wants, be very careful when you're associating with non-devotees. Okay, if it's for preaching purposes, for preaching's sake, no problem, you preach to them, you bring them closer to Krishna. But if you're not very strong and instead you take their sangha, you will go backwards in your spiritual life. So much so, Mahaprabhu says, Asat Sangha Chaga A Vaishnava Achar. That the achar or the behavior of a Vaishnava is that the first thing he does is he completely rejects all material association. So Mahaprabhu explained this is the first qualification of a Vaishnava. A Vaishnava is one who gives up the sangha of all of his material friends or the sangha of materialistic persons. And Mahaprabhu wants that I would rather be in a cage with a lion than to associate with materialists. Mahaprabhu is saying it is better to be in a cage with a big hungry lion than to be closely associating with materialists. Why? Mahaprabhu explains, if you're in a cage with a lion, what's the worst that will happen? The lion will come, eat us, we will die, and we'll lose this physical body. But because we've done devotional service in this life, in our next life we'll again be born in a devotee family and we'll continue our devotional service. So no problem. But Mahaprabhu explains, if you associate with materialists or non-devotees, what will happen? Okay, our gross body, no harm is done, but our subtle body will get contaminated by associating with non-devotees. And when the subtle body gets contaminated, material desires, attachments will creep in. Then when we die, what will happen? Instead of going up, we will go down into the lower species. So that is very dangerous. So in this way, Mahaprabhu is explaining, it is much better to be in a cage with a hungry lion than to go and associate with materialists. Because the lion will just, get rid of the gross body, but no problem. Krishna will give another new body in a devotee family. You can continue doing your service, no problem. But if you associate with materialists, the whole subtle body will get contaminated, which is more important. If the subtle body gets contaminated, then time of death will go lower into animal species or hellish planets even, by the bad influence of materialists. So same thing Mahaprabhu is establishing here with Raghunath Das, that better Raghunath doesn't accept this association from his parents, this wealth which is being given by his parents. Because of Raghunath Das's eagerness, I accepted his invitation for many days. It is very good that Raghunath Das, knowing this, has now automatically given up this practice. After some days, Raghunath Das gave up standing near the Simhadwara gate and instead began eating by begging alms from a booth for free distribution of food. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this news from Govinda, he inquired from Swarup Damodar, "Why does Raghunath Das no longer stand at the Simhadwara gate to beg alms?" Swarup Damodar replied, "Raghunath Das felt unhappy standing at the Simhadwara. Therefore he is now going at midday to beg alms from the charity booth." Hearing this news, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "He has done very well by no longer standing at the Simhadwara gate. Such begging of alms resembles the behavior of a prostitute." So after this, initially if you remember when Raghunath Das, he first arrives in Jagannath Puri, Mahaprabhu's personal servant Govinda, every day he used to take all the Mahaprasad of Mahaprabhu and personally give to Raghunath Das. So the first 5 days, Raghunath Das, he stayed in Jagannath Puri, he got, nice full plate of Mahaprasad every day. So he was eating very nicely. But on the 6th day, he then stops accepting Mahaprasad, and instead what he does, he goes out in front of the gate of Lord Jagannath's temple and he starts begging alms. And whatever he could collect from begging alms, he just used to subsist on that. And when Mahaprabhu heard this, Mahaprabhu was very happy that it's good that Raghunath Das is becoming more and more renounced like this. Then after some time it's given, Raghunath Das, he even stops begging in front of the gate of Jagannath's temple. He stops doing that and instead he goes to a charity booth where there is free distribution of food. And instead he starts begging alms from there. So just like we have, different, like we have our food for life, in different places, like in Newtown, every day our food van goes and we serve free prasadam. So in the same way, back then in Jagannath Puri, there used to be a free prasadam booth where devotees will serve prasadam and mendicants, beggars, they will come and they'll get the free prasadam. So initially, Raghunath Das was standing at the gate of Lord Jagannath's temple and used to beg alms from visitors or the pujaris of the temple. Then he thought that actually this is also not good. I need to become more austere. I need to become more renounced. Then he stops doing that and instead he starts going for the midday free meals given by the charity booth. And when Mahaprabhu he hears this, Mahaprabhu becomes very pleased. Why? Mahaprabhu is saying that previously when Raghunath Das used to stand in front of the gate of the temple and look for persons to give him charity, this, Mahaprabhu says, that this begging of alms resembles the behavior of a prostitute. So very heavy words Mahaprabhu is using. How is begging alms in front of the temple door acting just like a prostitute? Now Mahaprabhu will explain. Here is a person coming near. He will give me something. This person gave me something last night. Now another person is coming near. He may give me something. The person who has just passed did not give me anything, but another person will come, and he will give me something. Thus, a person in the renounced order gives up his neutrality and depends on the charity of this person or that. Thinking in this way, he adopts the occupation of a prostitute. So in this way, Mahaprabhu is explaining how by standing in front of the temple gate and just begging alms is just as good as being a prostitute. How? Just like a prostitute, late at night she stands outside of her door and she looks, who will be my customer tonight. She sees one man coming and she thinks, okay, maybe this person, he's dressed very nicely in opulent clothes, he must have a lot of money. Maybe I can attract him, maybe he can give me a lot of money and he can enjoy with me and I can get a good payment. But then that man walks away. Then she becomes depressed. Okay, it's not him. Then she sees another man. Then she starts calculating. Maybe this man, he will be my customer for tonight. Like this, a prostitute is always calculating. Who will be my customer? Who has more money? Who will give me money? So in the same way, Mahaprabhu is saying that this same mentality of prostitute is there for a person begging in front of the temple. Because he'll be standing in front of the temple begging, and what will he do? He'll simply calculate that this person is coming. Maybe he will give me something in charity. Oh no, but he walked past. Oh, I see another person there. maybe he will give me something in charity. Or this person, he gave me something, some food yesterday, so today also he'll give me some food today. Like this, one is looking at people, judging them, and calculating who will give me, who will not give me. In this way, one's mind becomes just like a prostitute. Like this, Mahaprabhu is saying that what Raghunath Das has done is good. That he has stopped doing this, and instead he's just going to the charity booth. Because when you go to the free prasadam booth, the mind doesn't have time to calculate all this. You just stand in line, get the plate of prasad, you walk away. That's it. You're not calculating, will he give me, will he give me, will she give me? Yesterday this person gave me food, maybe today he'll also give me. Or he looks very rich, definitely he'll give me a big donation today. Mind is not being contaminated by all these mental thoughts. So that's why Raghunath Das, he stops begging in front of the temple. Instead, he goes one level further and he just goes straight to the midday free prasadam booth, and he just stands in line, gets his plate of prasad, and he goes. That's it. So now his mind is not contaminated by these material thoughts, and he can focus fully on worshipping Krishna. If one goes to the booth where free food is distributed, and fills his belly with whatever he obtains, there is no chance of further unwanted talk, and one can very peacefully chant the Hare Krishna mantra. So same thing Mahaprabhu is saying. If one goes to the free prasad booth, he just stands in line, gets the plate of prasad, fills his belly, that's it, finished. One saves so much time. One's mind doesn't get contaminated, and one doesn't engage in unnecessary talk. After saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again bestowed his mercy upon Raghunath Das by giving him a stone from Govardhan hill and a garland of small conch shells. So being pleased by Raghunath Das's devotional service, Mahaprabhu was so much pleased that Mahaprabhu personally gave him his own personal Govardhan Shila. So as you know, there's Salagram Shila and there's also Govardhan Shila, which is considered to be non-different from Krishna. So Govardhan Shila comes directly from Govardhan hill and is said to be non-different from Krishna, and you can worship it as if it's Krishna himself. So Mahaprabhu, he used to have a personal Govardhan Shila which he himself used to worship. But when he saw Raghunath Das's intense devotional service, his sincere attempts to up his devotional service more and more, Mahaprabhu was so pleased, he gave his own personal Govardhan Shila in charity to Raghunath Das to be worshipped. Along with that, he also gave him a garland of small conch shells as Mahaprasad. So from this we can learn from Raghunath Das Goswami how we should always be introspective and always be aspiring to do better and better service. So not necessarily we have to be, as austere as Raghunath Das, just completely renounce everything, go begging and then stop begging and then just subsist on just, whatever charity you get from the free prasadam booth and just fasting for many days. Later on we'll see Raghunath Das, he will even stop getting free plate of prasad from the charity booth. He will even stop that, and instead what he'll do, the rotten prasad or the prasad that has gone off. So generally what will happen, the Mahaprasad of Lord Jagannath will be given to different shopkeepers to sell. And the prasad will last for a few days. And after a few days, some prasad which is unable to be sold would start getting a bit decomposed and getting rotten. So then you can't sell that prasad. The prasad is already starting to decompose. So then that Mahaprasad, what they'll do, they will give it for the cows and the animals to eat. That decomposed or rotting Mahaprasad. Because now it's not fit for human consumption. So this rotten or decomposed prasad, the shopkeepers used to give for the cows. Now Raghunath Das, later on we'll see, he'll become so renounced that he would stop going to the charity booth to get free meals. Instead, he would go to these cows who are eating the rotten prasad, and he would collect the rice, the decomposed or rotting rice. He would take that rice, wash it, and the outer portion of the rice, which is becoming rotten, he would remove that. The decomposed portion of the rice, he would remove that, and just the inner portion, which is hard, Raghunath Das will wash, put a little salt, and will just simply eat that. That foodstuffs that even the cows, CC explains, that foodstuffs, that prasad that even the cows would reject, smelling the bad odor of the rotting food, Even the cows they would reject. Raghunath Das, he used to go and eat that rotting prasad. So that's how austere he became. That's how renounced he became later on. So from this, it's not that we have to imitate Raghunath Das and become so austere like this, but what we can learn from his personal example is how a devotee should always be thinking about how to improve his service more and more. So we see this with Raghunath Das. Initially, he was getting Mahaprasad of Mahaprabhu. Then he was thinking that actually it's not good for me to eat such opulent prasad. I need to be more renounced. Then he goes and begs. Then again he's being introspective and thinking that actually even this is not good. My mind is being contaminated just like a prostitute's consciousness. Even this is not good. Let me go one step further. Let me go to the charity booth. Then again he's thinking that actually even standing in line in this charity booth is also not good. Let me just go eat the rotting, decomposed food, which even the cows aren't eating. So Raghunath Das is always increasing his devotional service more and more and more, trying to think how I can do better and better service for Mahaprabhu. So that mood is what very much pleased Mahaprabhu. So much so, Mahaprabhu gave his own personal Govardhan Sila to Raghunath Das Goswami. So this is something that we can learn in principle from Raghunath Das Goswami. Ghanshyam Prabhu, he was sharing that on 2 occasions he asked his Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Jayapatak Maharaj, that what does it take to do Raghunaga Bhakti? We all hear, right, that the perfection is to do spontaneous devotional service. At the moment, our devotional service, we're just doing it, sadhana bhakti, we're just doing it because, our authorities, our Guru has said, okay, wake up early in the morning, you have to do this, you have to chant, you have to do devotional service. So it's like forced. But we all know that the higher platform is spontaneous devotional service, which is Raghunaga Bhakti. So twice, Ghanshyam Prabhu asked his Guru Maharaj on different occasions, how can we do Raghunaga Bhakti, or how can we come to the stage of spontaneous devotional service, or Raghunaga Bhakti? And on both occasions, his Guru Maharaj, he gave the same reply. Maharaj replied by saying that Raghunaga Bhakti is very simple. If you want to do Raghunaga Bhakti, all you have to do is whatever service you're doing, you just try and improve it. More and more and more and more and more. You just continuously, every time you do that service, you just think how I can better it, and you just keep on trying to do that service better and better and better. If you just keep on doing like this, that is Raghunaga Bhakti. That is spontaneous devotional service. So someone could be a cook, cooking in the kitchen. If he wants to do Raghunaga Bhakti, spontaneous devotional service means every time he goes to cook, he should think, let me cook even better, more tasty prasad for Gopinath today, or for the Vaishnavas. If every time he's cooking, he has this meditation, let me cook even better and better prasad, that is spontaneous devotional service. Or if someone is distributing books, every time he goes out to distribute books, if he's always thinking, okay, before I did this much, today I will do even better. And next time he goes, he thinks, today I'll do even more better. And next time he goes, he thinks, today I'll do even more better. Like this is every time he distributes books, he tries to up his game and he tries to put more effort to push out more books, to reach out more souls. Okay, that is spontaneous devotional service. So the same thing we're seeing here with Raghunath Das Goswami. He is practically demonstrating Raghunaga Bhakti. Initially he's getting nice Mahaprasad of Mahaprabhu. If it was us, we'll be very happy, right? Every day you get personally served the Mahaprasad of Mahaprabhu. No one would complain. But Raghunath Das is thinking that actually this is not good, and I'm a renunciate, I should do more austerity. Then he's going, begging in front of the temple gate. Then again he's thinking that actually this is not good enough, I need to do more renunciation. Then he stops that, begs at the charity booth. Then again he's thinking that actually even this is not good. Instead I will go and I will very humbly take the Mahaprasad Lord Jagannath, which is rejected by everyone else. No one else is accepting this Mahaprasad Lord Jagannath, let me take it. Okay, the outside portion is rotten, decomposed, no problem. I will remove the decomposed part of the prasad. I will wash it nicely with water, and with a little salt I will take. So we see this Raghunath Das, how he is constantly being very introspective and thinking how he can do better and better service for Mahaprabhu. So that same mood we need to always have. No matter what our service is, we can always have this meditation. That every time we do whatever service we're doing, we should try and do that service better and better for Krishna's pleasure. If we do like that, Maharaj explains, that is Raghunaga Bhakti, that is the top level of devotional service, spontaneous devotional service. Okay, well this will stop here. Shri Caitanya Caritamrta ki jai, Jai Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Jai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.